Good afternoon, my name is Anthony Bottino, joined alongside TeeTee Terry, Olympic gold medalist in the 4x1, here to talk about her new book, TeeTee's Road Adventure. Thank you so much for joining us, TeeTee.
Thank you for having me.
So to get started off, can you tell us about your book and why you want to write this book?
So my book, TeeTee's Road Adventure, was released earlier this year in March, but then my season also started in March, so I didn't do much promotion for it. But I decided to write this book because my fan base, whom I refer to as my T-babies, are full of people of different ages, adults, teenagers, and the youth. And I was trying to find a way to connect with the youth because they're not on social media. They don't have certain devices to see me on Instagram or TikTok the way the older part of my fan base is. So I was like, how can I connect back to them? And I also had started a book club called Readers on the Run to foster the love of reading amongst children and families again. So I was like, let me come out with a book. The kids can imagine themselves, you know, at a young age, your imagination is just running wild, running free. So I wanted to be able to allow them to be able to vision themselves in certain scenes in the book and just connect with them on that level. And now I have parents telling me their kids won't put the book down. They read it every single day. They're going to end up knowing it by heart. So just to see my hard work be able to pay off and for it to be a good thing for the youth and to see that they're enjoying it, it's amazing.
So you kind of just touched on a little bit there with your T-babies. Is that kind of what inspired you to write specifically a children's book and not just like a normal memoir or anything?
So when I came up with the T-babies, it was my junior year of high school, actually. So I was still young, referring to people as T-babies.
You could yourself were a T-baby.
And myself was a T-baby, you know. But I just came up with it randomly at a track meet with someone else. We were just brainstorming while I was getting work done after an event. And that's how I came up with the name. But yeah, my fan base being mixed of many different ages and me just figuring out how to relate to those different age groups is what got me to writing the children's books. And I connect with kids anywhere I go. I have some of my close friends and family that are like, you're such a baby magnet, you know, everywhere I go a kid gets attached to me, whether I know them, whether I don't know them. So that kind of what inspired me starting the book. And I also started my track career at a young age. I started at 9 years old. So I was pretty young when I started the sport. And that was just a way for me to connect back to my younger self as well. And then just give the kids something to look forward to growing up, you know, seeing themselves, seeing someone that's running and based on the pictures, like running worldwide and just showing them they can do anything they put their mind to.
So it sounds like the reading is kind of a hobby of yours. Why do you think it's important for athletes to do things other than just their sport, like reading, and kind of be able to share your memories and your experiences with especially the younger generation through a book?
For me personally, doing things outside of my sport allows me to connect with others. For me, I crochet, I build Legos, I do DIY projects, I'm into plants, I obviously wrote the children's book, and it allows me to relate to others. You know, a lot of people support me with my track journey, but they aren't athletes, they never did a sport. And then when they saw I was doing other hobbies, they actually said, oh wow, you like plants and I love plants. I can relate to you through plants, you know, so that gave them that sense of joy of being able to relate to me in a different sense that works for the both of us, you know. Like I said, not everyone is an athlete. And it also shows your supporters that there's more to you than just your sport. You know, you have some athletes that are strictly just their sport and they don't do anything else, and their supporters are wondering what else is there fun about you or what else can we know about you. So for me, I use my other hobbies and other interests to be able to showcase what else I have going on. And like I said, the big thing is just being able to relate to others, show them like, yeah, I'm a top athlete, but I'm human. I'm just like you. I do some of the things that you do, make some of the mistakes you make. So yeah.
Well, you definitely showed some of your other characteristics and qualities in this book. I mean, you were like Dr. Seuss. You had a lot of rhymes in here. So there's a lot of different challenges than being on the track. So what challenge did you face writing this book?
So I wrote this book with someone else, Dennis Vaness. He's an author. He wrote a lot of books, children books, books for older ages, and things of that sort. But the biggest challenge for me was bringing the illustrations to life because I kind of went to them with rough drafts and sketches. I'm not an artist, so you know, some of them was just vivid descriptions saying I need it to look like this, say this and that, and just going back and forth with them and letting them know like, hey, I'm not really feeling that scene that you just created. So it's kind of like a lot of back and forth about the illustrations, and then also teaching those that's not used to track and field certain things that's related to track and field. So it was some scenes where some of the runners was running in the same arm and same leg. You can't run same arm, same leg, and especially not in track and field. So just having them make those corrections and kind of just learning from them about the process and them learning from me things of track and field. And then even with the cover, like being able to bring the cover to life, I wanted something that was going to pop and a person can see it before even picking up the book and having to read to see what the book is about. The cover itself would draw their attention.
Yeah, the cover really pops. There's a lot of things going on in there. How did you kind of come up with that?
So I kind of came up with that because I travel the world for track and field. I've experienced many different cultures because of my talent. And I have T-babies that are worldwide, not just here in the U.S., not just in Florida. So I wanted to be able to capture something like that to show the other cultures that support me and show them the things that you can see across the world and just give kids an insight of seeing certain things that is related to other countries, such as like the Eiffel Tower and things like that, and showing them that there's so much more than just here in the U.S. and for them to just be adventurous.
Right, so you mentioned all the things you want kids to get out of this. What are you hoping the kids see in this, and what impact are you hoping this book has on kids?
I hope this book show kids that they can do anything they put their mind to. It also, one of the things was friendship and teamwork. You know, you can go far with the help of others. You don't have to do everything by yourself or try to do everything by yourself. It's okay to lean on those around you for support, motivation. Because when I first got started in track and field, I earned my first medal in a 4x1, running second leg at 9 years old, you know, so I had to do that with teammates. In my career right now, professionally, all of my medals right now are in a 4x1, which comes down to teamwork and being able to trust others and just being able to have fun. And that's the biggest thing I tell the youth is make sure you're having fun with whatever you do, because the moment you start having fun, you're going to hate it. You're drained doing it. You're forcing yourself to try to complete it. So I definitely just want them to be able to see themselves in my book. I've did a couple of readings to elementary schools and daycares, and it looks like, oh, that's me right there. That's me right there. And then some other kids will read it and make up their own imagination. So just want them to get from it, have fun, and be what you can be.
Yeah, all the challenges you said with being together. I mean, especially in a sport like track and field, I feel like a lot of people kind of see it as almost like a solo sport, but it really comes down to like you need that support, you need that team, right?
Yeah, so track and field definitely is individual. Once you step on the line, it's really just you and the clock. But in order to get to the highest of the high in your sport, you need training partners, you need other people to lean on, you need that motivation pointing to you on the days where you want to quit at practice, having a teammate tell you, I got you, I'm gonna bring you through, you know, just being able to rely on others and also see things from different perspectives, understanding what it takes to win, understanding how to respond back to losses, and just being able to have that support all around, whether that's a coach, a family member, a teammate, and just everybody just been on the same page to help you achieve the highest point of your journey.
Right, you're talking about all the themes about friendship and being there for each other. You kind of talk about how in track and field and sports in general, you need to have those friends to push you along, to push yourselves and also push them to be better athletes. Now, when you were writing this and you were thinking about all that, who came to your mind? What friends, what family, what supporters came to your mind when you were writing about this?
When I wrote TeeTee's Red Adventure, the younger part of my career came to mind, you know, the different track clubs I ran for, Metro Day Track Club, Goose Park, South Dade Express, Main Attraction, all the different clubs that I was able to be a part of while growing up and being able to experience different friends. Some of the friends I actually grew up with through the sport, you know, starting with South Dade Express with Coach Amir and Coach Gene Mason. And I literally started with them and basically finished out with them, and them seeing me grow in the sport, them stepping in times when my parents couldn't travel to track meets or my parents couldn't take me to practice, me standing outside with my gym bag waiting on Coach Gene to pick me up, you know. And he also had a daughter that was around the same age as me, and we both was running together doing the same events. And it just started out with me just having fun and wanting to be around friends. Track was never serious from the moment I started. It didn't get serious until I started doing each level. I did recreational track, I did middle school track, I did high school track, collegiate track, and non-professional track. So I definitely gained a lot of friends. Well, I gained a lot of connections along the way, and a lot of my close friends today I made through track and field.
Amazing. Now, you're very much an inspiration to a lot of people who watch you. They see you through the screen, all your clips and everything about you running and getting an Olympic gold medal. But now your supporters, your T-babies, kind of have something tangible to support you by, kind of a tangible way that you've left an impact. What's the difference between like the legacy and the impact this book will have as opposed to what people see you doing on the track?
For me, although it's a children's book, I've had so many people purchasing it, whether they were children, if they didn't have kids, they kind of purchased it as a keepsake for themselves. And then I was able to find a way to release autographed copies and being able to for them to have something that represents me close to them, whether I signed it, and it was to a point where not only was I autographing, but I was writing things in the inside if they wanted me to write certain things, whether they already had things for me to say or they wanted me to say my own inspirational messages, and just being able to give them something to remember me by. Not everyone is able to come to my track meets in person, but for them to be able to purchase a book and have something that showcases me, for them to see that inspiration was a huge takeaway from the book, and then realizing how many people was purchasing it, and yeah, that's really all it was. And then the legacy of this book is just getting started, and then have so many more books in the works eventually to come. I'm already working on a second book that will be released. I don't have the actual date yet, but it'll be released sometime soon. And it's kind of in addition to this one, it'll also be TeeTee's Red Adventure, but it'll have an additional title to it. And yeah.
Sounds like you're gonna write a lot more books then?
It's in the works, I'm working on the second book. It'll also be TeeTee's Red Adventure, but it'll have an additional title to it. And then write books for other ages, middle schoolers, and eventually maybe high schoolers or adults, eventually write my own book about my journey through track and field. But I don't know, I'm just taking it one book at a time, and we'll see.
Awesome. We can't wait to see them. Thank you so much for joining us, TeeTee.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
And for Annenberg Media, I'm Anthony Bottino.